What is up, guys? Welcome back to Scott Talks. Today, I'm joined by some very special people. We're going to be talking about this upcoming NBA season. My name's Scott. I'm a huge Wizards fan. I'm going to introduce you to my friends over here. My friends, introduce yourselves.
All right, I'll go first. I'm muted. All right, what's up? My name is Brent. I'm a Sixers fan. Philly everything. So that's what we rocking with. Pass it off to whoever wants to go next.
I'll go next. I'm Christian. I'm a Clippers fan. I'm a real Clippers fan. No bandwagon. Been a fan since back in the day. Randy Foy, Willie Green, Spencer. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Glenn Davis, Caron Butler, real Clippers fan. All right.
Dang, should I go next? All right. My name OVA, Wizards fan, DMV made or whatever. Gilbert Arenas' favorite point guard. I'm 6'3". Wait, do I even need to say all that?
No, it's cool. Let another pair of Hooper too.
Yeah, Hooper, swimmer, LSU.
I'm not getting repeated.
All right, Jason, Rafa, you guys.
My name's Jason. I'm a Wizards fan, depressed Wizards fan, but we're still out here. I hate Bradley Beal though. This is a Bradley Beal hate account as well over here.
Whoa, slow down.
No.
What's good? My name's Rafa. I'm a Timber.
Did I interrupt you?
I'm a Timberwolves fan. Big Cat, top 2 center in the league. Objectively.
All right, so we're gonna be having some objective takes today. First off, All-Star draft went down. Who do you guys think is winning? I got Team LeBron just because that's the
Team
code.
Durant.
Team Durant.
Team LeBron.
LeBron.
Team Durant, boy.
Yeah. So we were talking about that before the recording started. Team LeBron's cool, but I think Durant's starting 5 and his bench is potent offensively. Defense doesn't really matter, so it really comes down to the offense, honestly. So, when you got Gobert and Ben Simmons out there on the court for Team LeBron, it's like, just let them shoot.
Literally.
Yeah, definitely have some crazy benches. Isn't Harden, Levine, and Zion off Team Durant?
Bro.
Yeah.
They're scary, bro.
That's crazy, but you're wrong.
If you're talking about benches, you can't not talk about Damian Lillard off LeBron's bench. So
you got the Eiffel Tower, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Paul George is on that bench also.
And Brent, does defense not matter? I mean, you saw last All-Star game, defense did
when
matter.
it comes down to what is it? They add the extra 24 at the end, but I mean, so what did they do? They added to the team who's up, right?
Yeah.
So that means if you're down, let's say Durant's team is up by 15 already. If they got to score an extra 24 on top of the 15 to come back, then But yeah, you're right. It does impact. I forgot that rule existed.
Yeah, so I think
still an offensive showcase though. So I mean,
I don't know.
They still got the better offensive team with it's Curry, LeBron, Luka Doncic, Jokic. Because we all know he can only do offense. Who else is on there? I forgot. I think
it's Giannis. Giannis is on that starting 5 too.
Yeah, Giannis. Yeah, that starting 5 is basically one of the best offensive starting 5s in All-Star history, in my opinion.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a great game. I'm glad the NBA has changed to a format that's at least competitive because, again, we all love the dunks and stuff, but seeing them actually go at it, it's like a great pickup game. Because, all these guys, they run at Rico Hines' gym or that gym in New York that J. Cole be hooping at and Melo. So all these guys, they do still run with each other, so it's a great pickup game. But now, after the All-Star festivities and all the fun, second half of the season, so again, because of COVID, they had just released the schedule for second half. What do we see from the East? One thing I want to talk about, the Milwaukee Bucks. Are we buying or selling on them? Do we think that they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, or are the Bucks going to turn into reindeer? What do we think?
They fold too much for me. I can't get with the Bucks, especially not in the postseason. They get there, but then they don't produce in the playoffs. I never see it.
I got Sixers and Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals. Those are the 2 teams, in my opinion, that are going to be that are going to stay the top 2 teams.
Like that.
Yeah, I would say, just to throw a wrench in it, maybe the Celtics could be a dark horse, but I just don't know at this point in time. I guess we'll have to see what Kemba can do because his play has really been throwing me off. Like it's not Kemba's usually consistent and he hasn't been that this year, so it's kind of like I don't know what they got going on. But Jason Tatum's looking really good. Jaylen Brown's looking really good. So we're gonna see what they got.
I actually disagree with y'all. I think the Bucks could make noise with Drew Holiday. That new addition, that veteran talent, I think he could actually propel them into a high playoff push. That's just my take.
Was it Drew or Chris who's been out these past few games?
I think Drew.
Drew, yeah. I mean, they did go all in the offseason, getting rid of Bledsoe, bringing in Drew. So I am hoping, it works out for them. Drew Holiday, again, he was an all-star in Philly. He's been an all-defensive team member. Definitely a great veteran presence. So we will see. We'll see how that shapes out. I mean, right now, the East is only separated by a few games. Everyone's separated by a few games. So we can very well see some interesting playoff matchups and some very crucial games down the stretch. Now,
Aren't the Knicks fourth in the East?
They are, yep. Celtics are fourth.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. They're one game above 500 in the fourth seed. The East is, wow. Actually, after the Knicks, all the other teams are below 500. That's crazy. Wow. Speaking of the Knicks, what is so a few not too long ago, everyone was clowning the Knicks because they said they're going to get Zion. They said they're going to get Kyrie. They don't. They ended up getting Randall. Everyone's clowning them. Now Randall's looking like a all NBA selection.
Bro.
The beast
is the answer.
This is my thing about it. I don't necessarily know if it was just Randall slander. I think it's the fact that you go in the offseason, the offseason with all this money, right? And you signed, 3 power forwards to like crazy deals. That just didn't make sense to me. So it's like somebody's gonna have to step up. If not, y'all just gonna look stupid. But it's panning out how I guess they thought it would. So
yeah, they're just playing very well right now. Like they're utilizing their players like on paper that who really wouldn't be like big names like you think would play well. Like if you look at their team on paper, you'd probably like just think, oh, the Knicks, like they're not gonna do well, but they're actually playing well as a team. So
definitely, they're definitely doing good. I mean, I definitely did not see this coming. I mean, Tom Thibodeau brought back in Rose. He's been great along with Emmanuel quickly and
very nice.
Yeah, I was about to say if you're gonna talk about the Knicks' success, you have to talk about Emmanuel quickly. That man is a bucket.
He was
a floater god.
Which is crazy because again, the Knicks' big pick was Obi Toppin, who really hasn't found his way. I mean, he's been dealing with some injuries off and on, trying to get back into the rotation. So it's crazy because no one saw quickly doing this, at least this early in his career. So I'm definitely happy about that. And it's going to be interesting. New York now has 2 legitimate playoff teams. And now with that, how do you feel about Lamelo Ball and the Hornets? Airbnb. I mean, beginning of the season, no one really had high hopes, and now they are fighting for that 7th, 8th seed, man. That is, LeVar might have been right about something.
But that's the thing that kind of, throws me off. Because you look at teams like the Knicks. I understand that none of those teams are above 500 yet, or after you hit the 5th seed. But it's like when you see the highlights, of course they're playing well. They're highlights, but when you look at the stats and things like that, it's like, okay, yeah, LaMelo has a triple-double here. Rozier drops 40 here. Gordon Hayward has a 40-piece here, and da-da-da. But for some reason, I don't know why they're not higher in the season. I don't know if it's strength of the scheduling. I don't know what it is, but it seems like they're very streaky. But when they get it rolling, they're actually rolling. So, I mean, we just going to have to see. But I do feel like they can either get a 7th or an 8th seed.
Yeah.
Definitely a very streaky roster.
They definitely find themselves in a lot of close games, a lot of overtime games, got to hit buzzer beaters. So it's like, are they really as good as we think? Or is it just like, LaMelo Bridges highlights, you know what I'm saying? Like, back to his point,
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think this team is really more of a high potential team with older vets that are really hooping. Because if you think about it, LaMelo, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington just had like a 40-piece the other night. Those are 3 really young guys that could really develop into superstars. So I think that team has a bright future.
Definitely. They definitely are. They're going to be fun to watch for a while, man. Definitely have some nice young guys as well as some good vets. So it's going to be interesting. I'm happy for Hayward, too. I mean, he's been dealing with injuries these past few years. So to see him balling again, Scary Terry, too. Because, again, when Scary Terry first got that contract, everyone kind of looked at Michael Jordan like he was insane. But he's starting to, prove that it was worth it. So now some other faces who are all-stars, maybe it should be all-star. The Bulls and Hawks, man. I mean, Trae Young down in Atlanta. They just fired Lloyd Pierce, but Trae Young again, one of the league leading scorers and assisters. Do we feel like the Hawks are going to get turned around? I mean, they have had some injuries. Gallo's been out. Bogdanovich has been out. You know, those guys they brought in. Rondo's been kind of off to a slow start. How do we feel about the Hawks? Buying or selling?
Selling. Because look, I remember we talking about this the other day in the party. You see with the Knicks how they approach the offseason, right? You have a whole bunch of money. The Hawks came in, same situation. You go all in on Gallo, you go all in on Rondo, and it's just not clicking yet. So it's how many games is left in the season? What, 20, 30?
Probably like 25, 30.
And try to gel things together. If you're not already in the playoff race, it's just I mean, I know that teams make late pushes for the playoffs and things like that, but with that roster, I don't know. I feel like Trae has to do a lot by himself. People are not stepping up. I think maybe John Collins has played well. I don't really watch the Hawks like that. I don't look at their stats either, but I feel like John Collins has to step up more if he hasn't already, because Ice Trae can't do it by himself.
Definitely.
I feel like with the Hawks, their defense is lackluster. They've had too many problems. Like John Collins, didn't get the money he wanted. So they're looking to trade him apparently. So he definitely has that on his mind. Trae Young, he can ball out. We all know that. But at the same time, you can average like 30 and 10 all you want. But if your team's not winning, that really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, he's Trae Young's averaging like about 27 a game. The next leading scorer is John Collins, who's averaging 18. So I mean, I can't really like. I watched a couple. I've watched a few games of the Hawks, and it kind of like it's like Trae Young's really not getting help. Like I don't think the stats really tell the story with this team. Trae's kind of just trying to find a way to do it all, and he's like slowly realizing that he really can't. And that's when he results to this, trying to draw all these fouls, and he's slowly becoming one of the most hated players in the league. So I don't really know what's going on in Atlanta, but I hope they figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, another part of Atlanta that hasn't really clicked yet, Cam Reddish. I mean, he shows flashes of he's going to be great. He shows he has all the physical assets, super athletic guy, definitely potential to be a great defender, but he just sometimes looks like, a background character. I mean, there's been games I've seen where he's had 5-6 points and you really couldn't tell he was even out there. Again, I understand that sometimes it's hard transitioning from being, a number one or number two option to be kind of taking a back seat, but you're an NBA player, you're starting. I mean, you're putting up Tony Snell numbers, man. And I like Cam. Cam was one of my favorite high school players, but as of right now, he definitely is showing why maybe his draft stock dropped in that draft. I mean, I was kind of sad we didn't pick him up in that draft. We picked Rui instead, but as of right now, I mean, Rui's been putting up better numbers than Cam, so we shall see what happens down in Atlanta. We will definitely have to see. And then last but not least, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, 2 All-Stars. Both guys have been having great years. Bulls aren't right now they're looking on the outside in, but I definitely think they can definitely make a push. Again, at least in their case, they do have a little bit of a younger team. Kobe White has been great so far in his young career. So we'll see. I mean, Bulls are only a game out, so we will definitely see if the Bulls can do it. Pacers, I don't know. I think they're a solid team, but I think they might have hit their ceiling already. So we shall see about them. What about you guys? What are you guys thinking?
I mean, so earlier they said the Bulls trying to get Drummond, so that automatically boosts the stock of that team if they're able to acquire Drummond. It's so you don't realize how good he is until you actually watch the games, and then you look at the stats and it's like, wow, he's a 6-time, 5-time rebound champ or something like that, and it was consecutive too. So it's like you don't realize things like that happen. But I feel like who's the coach in Chicago? It's
Billy Donovan.
Yeah, Thunder's old coach.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So yeah, you give him Drummond, you work him off the pick and roll with Kobe, and they start to get that chemistry. I think if they can do that, that'll be good. Especially if they can get Otto rolling also.
Automatic. Definitely. Yeah, that is our Eastern preview. We are going to transition over in a second to the West as well as some of the award races. Unfortunately, I don't have Zoom Pro, so we're going to be right back, guys, with a short intermission. All right, and we are back. Sorry about that, guys. A little technical difficulties with the Zoom, but we are back. And now we're going to talk about the West. The super hot Jazz. I mean, Donovan Mitchell and Gobert took it personally when Shaq said they don't have what it takes. How do we feel about that? We think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, or they're minus of that Atlanta Hawks team not too long ago with Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Horford, and the big guy, Millsap.
I don't
think they're not getting past the second round. First round maybe, second round I'm not a believer for real.
It depends on who they run into in the first round. Honestly, they might not make it out the first round, but 19 out of 20, whatever the stat was very impressive. So I'll give them that. But I mean, the regular season is the regular season. If you're not winning in April, May, don't matter. So
yeah, Donnie's playing good, but I don't believe in it, bro. I can't. The Jazz, I mean, they're cool though. Like they're playing well. They do all right in the playoffs usually. So I mean, you always got to keep your eye out for them. They could surprise you. But me personally, I don't think they're going past the second round. I agree.
Clarkson is that dude though. Clarkson been hooping.
I was just about to say something about that.
Yeah.
So you know how in the playoffs starters play more, right?
Yeah.
So will Clarkson really play that much? I think that's what's making them so good in the regular season right now. Is a bucket off the bench.
It comes down to matchup, honestly. It depends on who they play because, yeah, like you said, Clarkson is their spark plug, so he's gonna give you 30 off the bench. You know, they're just gonna have to figure out the minutes for that.
Clarkson 6 man of the year race.
I think he should. I mean, you're the leading bench scorer on number one team right now. I think you deserve something. On top of that, too, I mean, it's so crazy because, again, Clarkson, early in his career, they kind of had him playing combo guard with, more of a playmaking role. Now, I think it might have been when he went to Cleveland, they were like, hey, just score. And ever since
then, the green light to shoot the ball every time it touches his hand. You can tell he's confident now because he knows his team trusts him. You can see he's going to shoot the ball before he even gets it. You just know.
You got some.
Yeah, while we're talking about Clarkson, I wanted to bring up something about Clarkson and Randall. I was just thinking, the other day, the Lakers are actually crazy at drafting.
Definitely.
They're crazy at drafting. They just can't keep the talent.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say maybe
you have too much talent.
Maybe they can, see your intangibles, but when it comes to developing players, I don't think they're good at that at all.
Yeah.
Who have they drafted?
D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson. Yeah, it's Lonzo. Yeah, it's just a whole lot. It's a whole list.
And they definitely
had too much talent, so they didn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Even Zubac was on their team for a little bit.
Zubac was on, yeah.
I think it was maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, then they shipped him off over to the other side of the arena. That's crazy. Zubac definitely was on that
left LA.
Now we talked about the Jazz. Now, an unfamiliar face these past few years when it comes to playoff basketball. But the Phoenix Suns, I mean, second in the league. Last season, they were red hot in the bubble. You could definitely see that this was a young team ready to make that jump. CP3 comes, and now they're second in the West, and they just beat the defending champion Lakers. Even though they didn't have AD, I mean, Chris Paul looks phenomenal. Devin Booker looks phenomenal. Ayton, he's still coming along the ways. Cam Johnson's been great. I mean, that whole team has been amazing.
All right, so I got a question, right? Chris Paul has been great his whole career, undoubtedly, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to greatest point guard of all time and, making his Hall of Fame case, if he can get Phoenix to the playoffs and they can make noise, does that help his case out for, GOAT point guard and, his Hall of Fame case?
Definitely.
Without a ring. Without a ring.
Go ahead.
I was going to say without a ring. Does it help?
Oh, no.
I mean, I still think he's definitely solidified his Hall of Fame case. If not, then this definitely will put it over the top. Because again, throughout his career, he's been one of the all-time assist and steals leader. He also is up there with points too. I mean, a lot of people forget Chris Paul is a career 18, 19 points per game scorer. I mean, especially early in his career when he was on the Hornets. Chris Paul can score. He does it all. He plays the game the right way. He's been a great mentor. I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. And even if he doesn't get that elusive ring, I still think he's gonna go down as a top 3-point guard, top 4-point.
Thank you. That's literally what I was going to say. No matter what, this man's a Hall of Famer. Not only a Hall of Famer, but
he's one of those players that's an instant Hall of Fame lock. There's current players that are going to make the Hall of Fame no matter what, and he's been that for a couple years now.
Yeah.
So I think, but as far as his number one point guard all time accolade will go, I think getting the playoffs won't help, and I think winning a ring will help. That's the only thing that can help right now.
I think it helps his case, honestly, though, because you look at the Phoenix team. I mean, think about it. Let's see. Devin Booker's played for Phoenix for what, 6 years, and they haven't gone to the playoffs. And for Chris Paul to come in and what is his second season with him, first season with him,
First season.
And just turn it around and take him to the playoffs, like that, a 6-year drought. That's just with Devin Booker. They probably haven't been in longer than that. But it's like
you also got to throw Monty Williams his flowers, man. He is great. He's excellent at developing young players. You saw him do it when he was the assistant in Philly. You know, he came in. I'm not gonna say he made our dynamic duo what they are, but he had a big part in, look, TJ McConnell just had a triple-double last night. He was there, developing, working on him. So it's like Monty Williams he's nice, and you gotta give him his credit. But yeah, Ayton has been playing really well. Chris Paul's been playing excellent. Devin Booker,
good.
always plays good. So
Yeah.
You watch
The core is really nice.
Valley Boys looking different.
I think a slept on piece on their team is actually Mikal Bridges. That man shoots 42% from three right now on lockdown defense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he definitely deserves to be in that most improved.
Definitely.
But I also feel like with Chris Paul, you also got to look at after he left the Hornets. Think about the Clippers. The Clippers, I'm pretty sure, hadn't been in the playoffs those 2 years they were without him. As soon as he comes to them, boom, they're a top 3-4 team in the West every year that he's there. Always have multiple 50-win seasons. He made that whole Lob City place Chris, and then he goes to Houston. Houston was already a decent team. Chris Paul goes there, go to the Western Conference Finals. And there's a good argument that if Chris Paul was healthy for those last two,
definitely
beat the Warriors, and then going to the Thunder. Nobody thought the Thunder was going to go to the playoffs. Boom, they took the Rockets to 7 games and lost off of James Harden block. So nobody expected that. And then, like I said, you look at the Suns. They're second in the West right now. Why? Because of Chris Paul. So I definitely think he might not be the GOAT point guard, but he definitely should be in that conversation.
Definitely, like you said.
Everywhere he goes, he
go ahead.
brings efficiency and development to the young players. I think even if he came to the Timberwolves, it would be a playoff
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we saw with the Thunder too. I mean, Chris Paul, man, he just brings the best out of young guys, and I think that's a nod to him too. That all these young guys, if Chris Paul tells you something, you're gonna listen. Whether he's against you on your team, you're gonna listen. Because again, that's one of the greatest basketball minds. What's crazy to think is, not too long ago, people said, maybe he goes to Thunder and they tank and he tries to get a buyout. And he said, no, I'm going to come here. I'm going to play. And that's one thing I respect about him. No matter what team he's on, he just wants to play games and do his best. So, shout out to him. And now one of his friends will run the Banana Boat crew, LeBron James. I mean, 36 years old, still putting up crazy numbers, primarily playing the point guard this year. But AD's got hurt. Even though on paper their roster looks a little bit better than the one last year, they seem to be kind of having a few, bumps in the road. Do we think they're going back to back?
I'm gonna make it real simple. If you play Montrez, you do good. You gotta. Who's their coach? It's not Walton. It's Vogel. I don't know why. I looked at a stat the other day. I'm not a big plus minus guy, but apparently it's a huge stat. So I think they're minus 12 when Gasol's on the court and plus 13, or it might be the numbers might be flipped when Montrez is on the court. So it's like when it's in overtime in the fourth quarter, why is Montrez not on the floor? And why is Marc Gasol on the court when he's obviously a shell of himself? We were talking about it the other day. He wasn't that – well, he was okay in Toronto, but he hasn't been Memphis Marc Gasol in Lord knows how long. So it's like at this point, it's just his name. He's not the same player. You just know his name. And that's why I think it's kind of throwing people because he's not the same player at all. I don't know what he does well anymore. He's just, there to make particular plays here and there. But Montrez, you got to put Montrez in the game. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, you would think it's that simple, but if we as watchers can see this plus minus and see these stats, you would think that the coach coaching the team would be able to see that. So it's I think there's definitely more to the story that we don't know.
Probably.
It has to be because, it's kind of ridiculous. And again, I'm a huge Gasol brother fan. I was a Paul is one of my favorite power forwards, if not my favorite power forward, next to probably just Tim Duncan. That's one of my favorite players. But Pau Gasol, he was amazing for the Lakers franchise. They actually traded Pau from Memphis to acquire Mark. I said that wrong, but yeah, you guys get the picture. They trade the brothers for each other. Now, Mark, the younger brother, he's in the Lakers uniform. And again, in that Raptors playoff series, he definitely was a key part of the bench. But again, I love Mark. I think, he's definitely getting older. He's not the same defender he once was. He can't move. He's not hitting jumpers like they need him to. I mean, like Brent said, Montrez needs to be in the game. I don't know why he's sitting. I mean, he seems healthy, so Vogel either needs to play Montrez or, he might need to find a coaching job elsewhere because, again, you're not going to win the playoffs playing Marc Gasol like that, especially against quicker big men. He just can't do it. He can't switch. And, again, I love Gasol. I love that Grind City Grizzlies team, but, maybe it's time for him to, take a lesser role, just kind of be on the roster to get the ring or maybe go back to Spain, but it's just not working.
Hey, man, Dennis Schroeder is looking excellent.
Big for the Lakers, bro.
Excellent.
That man,
I mean,
I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason, but I had to say that Dennis Schroeder is playing great.
While we're talking about the Lakers, like you said earlier, how about LeBron? That man being a top 3 MVP finalist, well, not finalist, but contender while you're 36 is kind of unheard of. That's kind of
he does it every year, basically.
Yeah.
At that point, do I think he's gonna win it? No, but I do think him being in that MVP race almost every single year since they've been a playoff team. That's definitely something that you got to look at. And I think the biggest thing about the Lakers is that I get Anthony Davis is out, so LeBron's gonna play more minutes. But if they want to get back to where they were in the finals, they can't be playing LeBron almost 40 minutes a game now because you got, the Clippers, who they might look, a little shabby right now. I think they just lost to us, but that's because Paul George was out. But you already know the Clippers, they're going to be back. They're going to be out for blood, so you got to worry about them. I wouldn't really worry too much about the Jazz. You still got to look out for them just because they are number 1 right now, but they're not too big of a threat. But if I'm the Lakers and if I'm Frank Vogel, you got to stop playing LeBron 40 minutes a game if you really want to win the finals again because you're going to tire him out.
That's what happened to Jimmy Butler in the finals.
Definitely.
Tired out.
Man, the Heat, they had an amazing playoff run. By the time they got to the finals, the team was definitely damaged. They're tired. And, you're back to this Lakers team. I think it's a testament to how great LeBron is that we almost expect this level of play from every year. But it's time for Anthony Davis to really step up. One thing I haven't liked about Anthony Davis from this past playoff run to this year is that he's not really under the basket anymore, close range. He's taking a lot more jumpers. He's not getting as physical. And again, he's making his jumpers efficient. But when you're that big, and especially when you have a lot of smaller bigs on you because of small ball, back down, get a foul, something. Because you're making it. You're now forcing LeBron to drive and get beat up and banged down there. But we'll see. But now we're gonna go across the Staples Center to Chris's Clippers. One thing I will give them this: they got a lot of heat in the offseason, but let's be very real here. Kawhi is not gonna have another breakdown. His name and his legacy are on the line right now. That was a once in a lifetime thing. I don't think Kawhi is gonna sell again. So we're definitely gonna expect the Clippers to come back with a chip on their shoulder.
Just 2 games, if we're all being honest here. Kawhi, we already know what he's here to do. The real issue is you got to make sure Paul George isn't playoff P. He's playoff P. You get what I
mean? Yeah.
You need Paul. I can't stress this enough. Paul George, he needs to give his phone to somebody when he's in the playoffs and just not look at it. He reads social media too much. He lets everybody get in his head, and he just plays bad and just proves everybody right. How do you want it to get better when you reading the hate comments and you're fueling their fire by playing bad? He literally has to step up. He's been playing pretty well. He's still doing some stuff I don't like that finish against what was it, the Celtics? Paul George, come on. But he got to get it together. If he stays consistent, stays solid, playing how he's been playing in most of the games right now, like you said, it's regular season though. It's always different in the playoffs, but hopefully he can keep that up. And if we have our dynamic duo doing what they should be doing, I'm all for. I say we championship team, bro. I'm telling you.
I agree, and I disagree with the Paul George slander because it's like at the end of the day, Paul George isn't the only kid on the team. So Kawhi didn't. Kawhi was good during the playoffs. Paul George he was okay. Like his stats weren't as bad as everybody was making it seem. Yes, he didn't play well in the clutch, but also you gotta look at the whole game. Reggie Jackson can't guard a parked car. I don't know what he does. He's a veteran. You're a veteran. You're supposed to know how to guard or the pick and roll or whatever. If you don't do it, you get beat every time. So it's a lot of issues that come with that team. But if Paul George can show up, Kawhi's going to show up. They'll be all right. It depends on who they run into the second round. Not making a joke or anything, but the second round is usually when the Clippers start to, they get up big and then they just take their foot off the gas a little bit too much. And then that's when the other teams start to, work their game plan out a little bit better than they do. And then it causes problems. But other than that, they should be fine. They got to get rid of Reggie Jackson, though. And Lou Will got to play more. I don't care if he's the sixth man, He has to be in the game. Sorry.
I understand wanting him to come off the bench and provide that spark. He's been doing that so, proficiently for so long. But I think he definitely deserves a bigger role, especially with Montrezl gone and how they were such a great tandem off the bench. It's time for Lou Will to just, step up and fill that gap. Like, he doesn't have Montrezl anymore. So he just needs to step in for that gap. And as for Reggie Jackson, it's nothing else for me to say. You basically said it all. He just, it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm tired of expecting stuff from him. Like, he just.
From a vet. He's a veteran.
He continues to disappoint. So, I mean, he doesn't really give us much on offense. He hits a few open shots, and he just gives us nothing on defense, constantly just getting baited.
He's garbage.
I don't know what to say about him. But one other thing about the Clippers, I just think Serge Ibaka just has to do a little more for me. Like I don't know why Montrezl wanted to leave. He did his thing. I'm not gonna hate him for it, but now we need Serge to step up. So hopefully, we'll see. But I think we're good. I think we're gonna get out the second round this year.
We will have to see. But now, speaking of that second round, so the bottom four in the West right now, we have Trailblazers, Spurs, Nuggets, Mavericks, with Warriors and Grizzlies as a 9th and 10th seed. With the Pelicans not too far behind either. I mean, I definitely think there's going to be some interesting storylines here. But just a testament to Greg Popovich and the Spurs. He's been doing such a great job down there for all these years. I do hope he retires soon, though, because, again, they're not winning a ship anytime soon, but it's nice to see a winning franchise. Damian Lillard, I think he's a top 5 player in the league to me right now offensively. I mean, he just does it all, but I can't see him winning a ring in Portland unless they bring someone else. I mean, he can only will his team so much. Nuggets, I love Jokic. I think he's an amazing player, but I'm not sold on the Nuggets. I think they're just a team that got real hot in the bubble. And then Mavs, you guys know this. I'm not sold on Luka Doncic. I put some great numbers, but I don't think he's a superstar yet. I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a great player. I think he's the future of the league, but he's not a superstar. He's not Bradley Beal. He's not.
Oh, brother. All right, so let me go.
Man.
You said the Spurs. I love DeMar DeRozan ever since he got drafted. He's just criminally underrated. He does so much for that team, that Spurs team. And, I love DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker and them. They have a nice core. And Trey is on that G League team, right?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yo, Scott. Trey Jones. He's on the G League team. He leads the G League in assists. So
and he's been dunking on everybody.
Yeah, literally everybody. So I'm not surprised that the Spurs are, in the race for a playoff spot. The Grizzlies, I love Ja, but the team just doesn't do enough for me. Dylan Brooks is still The Warriors, they get hurt a lot. So they don't really have a consistent 5 that they run with. Kelly Oubre started off terrible, but he's started to find his footing a little bit.
Definitely.
I like Wiseman though. Wiseman's nice. Draymond is, always going to do Draymond things. He's been playing really well this year, but he's costed them a couple games. Just bonehead stuff, like that shot was against the Spurs with 9 seconds left, and then he got ejected in the game the other day, and they lost that game because of that. Who else do I have to talk about?
I think you cover them all. I mean,
Oh, the Nuggets. The
Wait.
Nuggets.
yeah.
The Nuggets are cool, but I'm not sold on Jamal Murray. I'm not. I love Jokic though, top 2 center in the league. You know, I'm biased, so I'm gonna say Embiid is, but look, Jokic he's definitely up there, and some other team I mentioned, but I'm gonna let it ride.
For sure.
With those like last four, I feel like the Spurs probably out of all of them might have the highest chance of maybe losing that spot. If they stay healthy and DeMar DeRozan keeps playing like he's playing, then I definitely think they can stay. But if the Warriors aren't injured anymore like they are now, like sure Clay's still gonna be out, but they had some tough games. They lost to the Lakers, who even though they didn't have AD, that's still I'm pretty sure like a top 5 defense. Maybe I'm not sure if they're number 1 still, but they were at one point the number 1 defense in the league. Then they lost off of a tough shot or Lillard shot, so really can't fault them for that. But Luka and the Mavs, they are also too injured to really do anything. Like Kristaps, they need to trade him, in my opinion. I don't know where he's gonna go, but they need to trade him because he's just too injured to help Luka. And then Memphis, I'm not sold on Memphis just because they also get injured a lot. But Nuggets, I'm not actually really sold on the Nuggets either. I feel like really the only teams that will probably do some damage are the Blazers, Spurs if healthy, and maybe Warriors if they can keep it steady.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the bottom of the West. And now we're just gonna talk about maybe 3 teams that I think aren't gonna make any noise this year, but definitely have a bright future. Rockets, I mean, when Kevin Porter finally gets out the G League, he's gonna be great for them. I think he can fit well with Christian Wood. I mean, he's a baller. I mean, his off the court stuff definitely has to mature, but I think this has been punishment enough. I mean, you're averaging almost 30 in the G League, and you got a triple double 2 or 3, and you're getting assists too. So it's not just like he's scoring. I mean, he just makes it look easy. I mean, I really think he could be the next Harden. Maybe not number for number, but I mean, he can get his shot off. So I think the Rockets have a bright future down there. Christian Wood, it's gonna be nice to see. And the Timberwolves again. They haven't really put together, but when you have Cat, you have my guy Edwards, you have Nas Reed, I mean,
Colbert.
I forgot about they have such
they have pieces.
So yeah, I think Timberwolves are going to be fine as well. Same thing with Pelicans. I mean, Van Gundy's been trying to implement his system, but Zion's looked real good. I like how he's using him more as a playmaker too. Again, Lonzo, he's streaky with his shooting and his confidence, but he's still one of the better defenders and playmakers in the league. Ingram is definitely an all-star. I mean, he didn't make it this year, but he definitely is an all-star caliber player. Steven Adams was a good addition. So, and they have a vet like JJ Redick. I mean, again, that's a team that's going to be fine. So, again, I think the West, we might not see anything from those teams maybe this year, next year, but I definitely will be on the lookout for those teams to make some noise. And then before we wrap this up, are there been any players that may have been a surprise to you guys, or like you guys are going to keep a special eye out this last half of the season?
Emmanuel Quickly, man.
He's a good one.
He's different.
He's a good one.
Definitely. I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but I definitely think he's a first team. I think he's proved to be first team. And the only way that he wouldn't make it is if they put Tyrese and LaMelo at the guard spots, but he has to be all rookie something.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Tyrese. Yeah, Maxi's been playing amazing.
Speaking of rookies, I mean, I'm gonna say LaMelo Ball. No, I don't think anybody expected him to be this good. This man is a freak.
He's been.
Even MJ said it, like he didn't expect this. So
Yeah.
it's really ridiculous what he's been on, not really carrying that team, but really meshing everybody together.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with you on that. I think Kyle Kuzma might be the player I'm going to keep my eye on just because, people were talking bad about Kuzma, how, he was too inconsistent ever since they were a playoff team, which was, backed up. But now, he's getting the little things done. Like, he's been better on defense. He's rebounding. Like, is he still taking some bad shots? Yes, but he has taken better shots. So I do think he is my player to watch.
I mean, speaking of players to watch, I'm gonna say what's his face? Nas Reed. like you guys said earlier, that man he's been decent, but recently he's really turned up after Cat went down with COVID. He's really went and shaped into a Cat type player, like a really on the ball offensive handles big that can really shoot the ball too.
Yeah, he's been crazy. I mean, that's Big Jelly, which is crazy because when the whole Jelly fan movement started, no one really talked about Nas Reed. I mean, of course, you know, if we're really into high school basketball, you knew him, but most people weren't looking out for Nas Reed. Went down to LSU for a year. Now he's in the NBA and he's really found his niche. So happy for him. So again, this has been an interesting season so far. It's definitely been a little bit weird due to COVID and stuff. But I think, you know, the NBA still has a good product. I mean, I haven't been watching as many games live this year. I catch up a lot of like highlights after, but I do think it's a good product. I mean, I'm hoping, you know, soon we return back to regular. Because again, a playoff game with no fans and a playoff game in a super loud arena are very different environments. But again, I commend the NBA, I commend the players for what they've done so far. And yeah, any closing thoughts? Anything you guys want to say to the viewers or listeners?
Yeah, I got two things. We didn't talk about the MVP, the voting. Not the voting, the award races. And also, one thing about Anthony Davis. So, Kevin Durant, remember when he tore his Achilles and whatnot? He had his Achilles injury. Although he came back and was effective, he ended up tearing his Achilles in that game. He was doing that pregame thing. With Anthony Davis being so big and always on the ball, do we really know how effective he's going to be when he gets back? Because the Achilles isn't something you just push off. I think Dominique Wilkins messed his Achilles up way back when he was, So it's like, I'm sure he'll come back and be fine, but I just don't know. We gonna have to see.
I mean, yeah, what you're saying makes sense, especially since he's a big that likes taking a lot of those mid-range contested jumpers. So I mean that you really are putting your ankles and feet in danger of getting stepped on when that happens.
Yeah,
and he actually gets a lot of and-ones doing that, but like I was saying, or like you were saying, that Achilles injury can really mess you up. And I think everybody knows he has the potential to be the GOAT power forward. So I want to see his career play out without injuries, hopefully. So we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Watching Anthony Davis and seeing his face-up game, definitely when he's, off the jab step or, driving, catching oops. So, like, you need your Achilles to be healthy to do all that. And, so – hopefully he comes back and recovers well, and we get to see the, full Anthony Davis back to 100. But yeah, Achilles is nothing to play with, and the people that do come back and still play at high volume and still play really well are really lucky. So we'll see.
Yeah, and then speaking of MVP, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm gonna have to give it to Joel this season.
Oh, come on.
And everyone knows how I feel about Joel. I think he's one of the most talented bigs when healthy. So, and again, as much as I, don't want the Sixers to win, I do, wish that they do have an injury-free playoff run, because that when that team's healthy, that's a tough matchup for anybody. So I definitely think Joel, he's earned those rights. Definitely a superstar player. And again, his health is really how far or how, not far the Sixers go. Because I mean, when he's on the court, that's a top 3-4 player in the league right now. So I definitely am excited to see Sixers basketball.
I definitely agree with that. And Ben is apparently number 1 in Defensive Player of the Year, which I'm glad he's finally getting his respect. But this year, hey man, if they give it to him, I'll take it. But I don't know, because it seems like this year it's like him and Embiid don't even play. It's like they're not even on the court at the same time.
Right.
But I guess that's what happens when you play with the MVP. But hey man, Doc Rivers got us together. Our squad's looking okay. I wish Seth Curry would shoot a little better, and I wish we would trade Danny Green. That man sucks. Tyrese Maxey's looking good. I wish Matisse would. I don't know what's wrong with him. I couldn't tell you. And Dwight Howard's, he's doing what we brought him in to do. So, hey man, if we see.
How do you feel about Tobias?
Who?
Tobias.
Oh, he's been really good this year. He definitely took a step forward from last year, considering he was the voice of the locker room last year, but the team changed up a little bit, But you could tell that he's being more vocal, and he actually has confidence in himself, I guess, because the team is like, we believe in you, you got us together and stuff like that. So now he's able to do a little – he's better in the ISO now. He's not just trying to pop and, just catch the ball and shoot it in front of 3 kids. He's actually breaking his defenders down, making plays and things like that. So, yeah, Tobias looked real good this year.
Definitely.
Easily use with that.
Definitely. Well, guys, I just want to say